What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over a bunch of tips for Fortnite Zero build. If you've been playing for a long time, or if you watch all of my videos, you've probably heard me talk about these things, but this video is more geared towards people who haven't seen as many of my videos or just haven't been playing the game for that long. Even if you do know a lot of these things, it's still pretty helpful to be reminded of them from time to time. And if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below one Fortnite tip you wished you knew sooner, or something that has had a large impact on helping you play better in game. The first thing we're going to be talking about is just to get in more fights. I feel like one of the biggest mistakes a lot of players make, especially when they're new to Battle Royales or any BR, is that they play overly passive because they really want to get a win, which makes sense. You know, a lot of people get on Battle Royales and their first goal is to win a game. And this leads to them playing super passive because that can work in the short term. However, each fight you get in is an experience or a chance to improve or get better at the game. And the less fights you get in, the less likely it is you'll improve over time, I feel like. And so just getting in more fights will help you get much better in the long run. Like someone who has an hour to play and spends the entire time camping and trying to hide in bushes and make it in game, you know, they might eke out one win randomly if they get lucky timing on the last player or something like that, but they're probably going to get in 2, maybe 3 games in that hour if they, you know, make it in game like they intend. And that's, let's say they lose every game, they might get in 3 fights in that hour. Whereas somebody playing a bit more aggressive, a bit more loose, and a bit just more carefree is going to get in a lot of fights more quickly. And this is going to result in them getting much better at the game and being able to win consistently in the long run. If you just only care about winning in the short term and you just want to get on and get a win, then do what you want to do. But I feel like odds are if you clicked on this video and you're watching it, you want to get better at the game. And I think the best way to get better at the game is just to get in more fights. This is also going to help a lot with nerves. I get asked all the time about how to not get nervous in fights or not get nervous in game, and I think it just comes down to experience and experience in game fighting. And if all your experience in game is just hiding and avoiding conflict, I don't think you're really benefiting from it at all in terms of improving as a player. The next thing is just to be decisive. This kind of goes hand in hand with the other one and the confidence thing, but more often than not, just making any decision and going for it is better than kind of hesitating and doing nothing. This is another thing I think a lot of newer players struggle with, is they're so concerned about making the right play that they kind of second guess themselves and just do nothing. I think it's just much better in the long run just to do something. Even if it's a 6 out of 10 play, it's more likely to work than if you commit to it, than if you kind of start to make that 6 out of 10 play and then cancel it and then go to the 10 out of 10 play. That hesitation will get you killed. And the same thing is true with looting. When you're when you finish a fight and you're looting the enemies, that hesitation looting ends up getting a lot of people third-partied. I've seen this so much in my spectating videos where someone just takes slightly too long picking through the loot or being indecisive with the loot, and then this results in them getting third-partied. Crosshair placement is something that can make your aiming much easier. This boils down to essentially keeping your crosshair, which is your reticle in the middle of the screen, keeping that where you expect enemy players to be. A lot of newer players, when they're just start playing the game, for whatever reason, they kind of look down a lot when playing, and this results in them having to make large adjustments if they do run into an enemy player. So keeping that about upper mass level of what an enemy would be oftentimes will make it a little bit easier for you to hit targets, because you're not going to have to adjust your aim as much. And then same thing if you're clearing a building, kind of pushing your crosshair, moving your crosshair to where you expect other players to be. Another thing that can make it easier to aim is going to be centering. This is a thing that's very big or very important in a game like Call of Duty, but this is basically just moving your reticle over to the person before you aim down sights. A lot of newer players, if they see somebody, they'll immediately aim down sights, and then they have to adjust their crosshair largely, or a large amount to get to the player. Whereas if they turned to the person first and then aimed in, it would be a little bit faster because your aim down sight sensitivity is slower. So if you need to make large adjustments with your aim, it's oftentimes better to unaim in, move your reticle near the person, and then aim in, and then adjust to get on target. And that sounds like a lot, but if you get used to doing it, you could just do it very quickly. With zones being slower this season and just being more plentiful, I think it's better to play edge in endgame. I usually play the edge of storm. That way I don't have to worry about the side of me that's in storm, unless there's something that's very good or very worthwhile controlling. So if Citadel building is in zone, that big castle, then sure, you definitely want to control that. Or just any big castle or mountain oftentimes will be worth controlling. But if it's more of a neutral zone where there's really no power position, I think just being edge of zone and limiting the angles you have to be exposed to will definitely increase your chances of winning this season, especially with the sniper being in the game. Just the less angles you're exposed to, the better. In Chapter 4 Season 2, the best loot can be found in the vaults. When you open up a vault at Brutal Bastion, Shattered Slabs, or Mega City, you can get the Mythic Havoc Pump Shotgun, which can hit for 250 damage, making it a one-hit kill in 0 build. And you can also get the legendary Slurp Juice from these vaults, which is the best healing item in the game right now. Once you drink it, it will continue to heal you. Even if you're like full, it'll heal you a little bit longer, and it gives you both 100 shield and 100 health. So you could be at 1 HP and drink this, and by the time it is done healing you, you will be at 100. When you do go for the vault, so you want to beware of vault campers. There's pretty much always people hanging out near the vault, hoping to catch somebody off guard and get the key card. So never let your guard down when you are going for one of the vaults. One of the biggest things you could do to make your fights easier is to get opening tags before you push people. This is super important. A lot of people that just katana onto somebody and get that close range fight with you being max HP and the opponent being max HP, it's a pretty random fight, especially with how hard the shotguns hit this season. The Havoc, you're probably going to take a decent amount of damage in that fight, and even if you do end up winning it, it's going to result in you probably getting third-partied afterwards. So I think it's best to open up with, I mean, if you like the heavy sniper, open up with a heavy snipe on somebody, or just mid-range AR tags. If you have like 90 damage going into the fight, you only have to hit that person for 160, whereas they need to hit you for 250. So you just make your life so much easier. Your chances of winning the fight are higher. You're probably going to take less damage, and you're going to get it done with faster, so you're much less likely to get third-partied. In team game modes, this can come down to even just getting a knock before you push the enemy team to be able to clean it up much faster. Visual audio is a setting in the game called Visualize Sound Effects, and this will give you little indicators on your screen of footsteps, gliders, which is really important this season. They changed glider audio so you can barely hear people gliding, but with visual audio, you will know when people are gliding near you. This is found in the audio settings, and you can just simply turn it on super easily. The vault and Shattered Slabs floor can be broken, and you can farm the gold really quickly doing this. So instead of breaking the gold in the Shattered Slab vault, you could just destroy the floor, and you will get, I think, over 1,000 gold super easily. This isn't the biggest deal, but if you find yourself having a hard time getting gold, just go to Shattered Slabs a few games in a row, farm the vault, and you will be max gold very, very, very quickly. With healing augments, so like the Pizza Party augment, the Chug Cannon augment, or the upcoming augment that will give you the flare gun, you can actually hold these and wait to confirm them until you need it. So if you have the Chug Cannon augment, but you haven't confirmed it, and then you get fried, you take a lot of damage, you can then get the augment, giving yourself a Chug Cannon, and then you can use it, and then just drop it if you want. So basically, these augments that give you items, if you don't confirm it right away, you basically have that augment in your inventory for free without consuming inventory slots if you think about it. And I think when the flare gun augment is added to the game, it will be incredibly good. The Twin Mag SMG has a unique reload property where it reloads fast every other reload. Next to your reticle, there will be 2 magazines. If both are full, then you will reload quickly. If only one is full, then you will have like a normal speed reload. So what I like to do if I'm not actively in a fight is I'll shoot it a little bit and then reload it. That way I'm on the fast reload when I do get into a fight. So if you're on the slow reload and you're in a chill moment when you can afford to just kind of waste a bullet or two to reload, I would definitely recommend doing that. The supply caches spawn in 3rd zone, and this is another way for you to get Slurp Juice. So when you open this, you will get Slurp Juice, and then you will also get loot depending on how long it's been since it spawned. So it starts out at gold rarity, and then the longer it's been spawned, the rarity decreases, I think, to blue. I don't think it goes lower than blue, but if you get to this supply cache right away, you will get legendary Slurp Juice and a few gold items. If you get there a little late, you'll get purple items, and if you get there super late, you'll get blue items. But no matter what rarity it has degraded to, you will always get the legendary Slurp Juice. The island spawns in 4th zone every game, and it will typically spawn in close to whatever center zone is. So this will vary game to game, obviously, but no matter what your zone is, there's likely to be some part of it that's near the middle of the map. And in that quadrant is where the island will typically spawn. So if you want to get there first, which I would highly recommend, I think getting there first is a huge advantage. Just try to be somewhere near the middle of the map by the time 4th zone is coming up. And also, if you are ziplining up to the island, you can jump off the zipline and then katana before you reach the top of the zipline, so you won't be as exposed to players who are already on the island. I think this is a huge thing to do. So many players pushing the island when I'm up there, just zipline all the way, and then I'm able to get a bunch of free tags on them before they even get to me, making that fight super easy to win. Right shoulder peeks are one of the biggest things you can do in Fortnite Zero build to give yourself an advantage in fights. If you're behind a piece of cover and you peek from the right side, you expose less of your character than if you peek from the left side, just because the camera in this game is slightly off center. This is a super old tip in Fortnite, but you would be surprised how many people make this mistake. And I think a lot of the best Zero build players are just consistently putting themselves in situations where they have right shoulder peek over their opponent. Another thing you can do to give yourself a huge advantage in close range fights is to hip fire more. This is another thing that a lot of like newer players don't do as well. They feel not as comfortable with their sensitivity, so they aim down sights a lot with their shotguns, and this makes it to where their sensitivity is much slower, so they might be able to hit shots easier, but it also makes it very easy for the opponent to dodge shots because you aren't as reactive. I'd recommend just trying to hip fire as much as possible in close range fights. And this will help you get better in the long run. I think it's just much more optimal to be able to consistently hit hip fire shots with your shotgun, and you might need to adjust your sensitivity for this. But the times I aim down sights with my shotgun is like few and far between. The only time I really do is if I'm like peeking out behind cover as someone who's like running straight at me, but rarely do I ADS with shotguns. And the final tip is just going to be able to play creative. Creative is a game mode in Fortnite. There's countless creative maps out there, and it is a much more efficient way to practice than BR matches. Like I was talking about at the start of the video, in a BR match, you might play 20 to 30 minutes and maybe get in like 1 to 5 engagements. For a lot of like newer players, creative, you can get in like over 100 engagements in that time, or that might be a stretch, but like 20 to 30, 40 engagements in a 20-minute period. So you're going to get better much faster. There's also just countless creative maps out there. I do have a video on my channel of creative maps that I use and that I recommend, and it was posted earlier this week, I think. But that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys found it helpful and informative. If you did, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below one tip that you learned in Fortnite that you think had a large impact on you improving as a player.